Welcome back, everybody. Day 3 at Northampton in this Division 1 match between Northamptonshire and Somerset. Northamptonshire currently 151 for 6, following on having been bowled out for 180 yesterday in reply to Somerset's 351 on day 1. We lost a couple of overs last night due to bad light, and Luke Proctor, captain, will resume. 37 not out, with Tom Taylor 24 not out. Craig Overton will bowl the remaining 4 balls of the over last night from the Lynn Wilson centre end. My name's Dan Jadzovic, and I'm joined by commercial manager Dan Vernon again for the first hour, I believe.
Yeah, we'll see how we get on, Dan. Hopefully I might stick around for a little bit longer, and hopefully these two are still batting.
Let's hope so. 3 slips in place for Somerset straight away. On the money from Craig Overton. He's got 2 wickets so far. It's quite loud, that effects, Mike, isn't it? It's quite good.
It's a good rendition.
I think there's a group in the Jackson Grundy that have turned up in fancy dress today. Outside edge for Proctor. It's just squared up slightly, played nicely down to deep third, and he's going to pick up a couple. First runs of the day added to the score. So the deficit is now just 18. Did you get to watch much of the action yesterday?
Yeah, I did, to be fair. I had a couple of meetings over this side, so I sat in the box, and I did manage to watch quite a bit of it. And fortunately, I suppose, whichever way you look at it, but a tough day, wasn't it?
It certainly was. Yeah, tough. Absolutely tough for Northamptonshire. Challenging conditions with the bat. There were no demons in the pitch. There was enough lateral movement off the seam to keep Somerset interested throughout the whole day. I think Somerset's head coach had said that after the use of the heavy roller, it had taken a little bit of life out of it, but it was, I'd say, fairly comparable from all the way kind of through the day.
Yeah, there's always that little bit, wasn't there? And they're a relentless bowling attack as well, aren't they?
I think that's the important thing to know when you look at the quality of Overton, and interesting to see who bowls the second over of the day from the David Capel, I suspect it'll be Matt Henry. You look at those two and you think, well, there's 2 test cricketers there back with the Dukes, as opposed to one of those square kookaburras they've used for the last couple of rounds. It's going to be a tough ask, and there's the fancy dress. Flamingos. Fred Flintstone. A couple of Rastafarians. Not sure what else I can spot there. Is Batman there?
I think Batman might have been there, yeah. Robin must be at the bar.
Matt Henry from the David Capel, and then Tom Taylor's going to face up. It'll be his first ball of the morning. Stick with those 3 slips. No, they're not. Well timed, that, wasn't it? 2 slips then for Tom Taylor. He was very aggressive last night in those gloomy conditions. I suppose he might give himself a couple to get himself back into the rhythm again, but I don't see there being much of a change in his mindset.
No, I think he's pretty positive every time he bats.
Down the ground straight away. It's going to be a leg by, signalled by the umpire. Get him off strike. He's kind of got the ability to play that innings. We've seen it a couple of times in the blast, particularly here. He's had a couple of really good 40s lower on down the order. That he could just not take the game away from Somerset. That was a silly thing to even cross my mind, but potentially go into that positive, make Somerset bat again, maybe even give them a total that requires a little bit of thought.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to have been spoken about last night and this morning, isn't it? I think Tom will certainly try and get that deficit removed as quickly as he can, and get to a position where Somerset are batting again. I think that's probably quite a big milestone that's been discussed, I would suggest, and you never know what might happen from there, and he bats for an hour and a half, it could start to look like they're going to have a little bit of a think about things, at least.
Yeah, that one's just gone past the outside edge of Captain Luke Proctor. Stream powered by Daffabet here at Northamptonshire. You would have just seen on screen about getting in contact with us on the stream as well. You can do that on Twitter at NorthantsCCC or via email stream@nccc.co.uk. Any thoughts, comments, questions, theories that you'd like to share with us? You're welcome to do so. Tough start for Matt Henry again.
It's the first time he's bowled at that end. He bowled mainly this end yesterday, from what I saw, certainly.
It's a really good question. Most of the wickets felt like they fell from the Lynn Wilson centre end yesterday. And I think Craig Overton took the new ball from the David Capel end, didn't he, in the first innings? Lewis Gregory took the new ball.
Second innings from there.
Yeah. Squared up, outside edge. It's going to race away. That's going to be the first 4 of the day for Northants. 158 for 6. I don't think Somerset are going to mind that too much. That's a genuine edge. It's gone through that vacant kind of gully region. Just an update with regards to Sam Whiteman. We haven't seen him around yet today, but Sam's wife successfully gave birth yesterday, so congratulations to Sam and his wife on the birth of their 3rd child. Quote from John Sadler on the post-match interview yesterday. It's a nice looking shot from Luke Proctor, and he's going to pick up 1. So John said that Sam's wife is 38 weeks pregnant. She's gone into labour. As important as this game is, there's more important things like being there for the birth of his child. Sam, really didn't want to let the team down, but it was me who made the call in the end, saying you've got to go and be with your wife. Hopefully things are all right. As I say, she's successfully given birth, so congratulations to Sam and his wife on the birth of their 3rd child.
Bit of a sign of how much of a team man he is, that he's still wanting to get out there and bat, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think there's, as Sad says, there's absolutely times in life that are a bit more important than cricket, and it's great that he could be there with her last night.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Australian overseas, so unfamiliar territory as well. It's just adds a little bit more importance to it.
Yeah, I dare say it would have been a bit of an ordeal on her own, wouldn't it?
Craig Overton, unsurprisingly, then is going to continue from the Lynn Wilson centre end this morning. 3 slips and a gully for Luke Proctor. And going out to deep mid-wicket. It's kind of Luke Proctor's lead from the front example, just coming to the fore again here in this kind of innings, in this type of scenario, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a gritty character, isn't he? He loves a battle. He loves to get into the fight, as it were. And I think if there's one man that you want to stand up in these scenarios, and someone who can bat for a long time and be pretty unfazed, it's probably him, isn't it?
Yeah, someone that the rest of the squad certainly look up to. Leads by example. Currently 44 not out. It's nicely played, but well fielded by Sean Dixon in the gully. I think we lost did we lose about 8 overs yesterday evening, I think?
Yeah, must have been getting on for that many in the end. Combination of bad light and then what turned into rain, I think, wasn't there?
There was a bit of drizzle about, wasn't there? Well alone, but still a little bit of shape on that cricket ball for Craig Overton. It's always a strange thing, that the bad light. Obviously the umpires have got a duty of care for everybody out on the playing surface, not just the batters, but they had a conversation at the start of Craig Overton's over and decided that it was okay to play. 2 balls later, after Tom Taylor had, I think, pulled one and crunched one down to square leg that was pretty successfully tidied up along the floor, it was then deemed that it was too dark to carry on. One of the fixtures as well at Northamptonshire, that the floodlights aren't able to be used because of from what I understand, there's kind of a quota of the number of days that they're allowed to be used because of the residents abound.
Yeah, we get a limited amount throughout the calendar year in terms of which we can use floodlights, and we get to these games in June, July and August, and such where generally speaking you shouldn't have to talk about floodlights, but yeah, yesterday was one of those sort of rare occasions, wasn't it? I think you're right. It's almost like the umpires have a discussion and judge by their eye at the time, and then they take a reading, and that becomes the benchmark moving forward. Which is seems sort of strange in one sense. I don't know whether they, if there was a standardised light measurement reading, they took it and it either hits that number or it doesn't. But I suppose every ground's slightly different from a viewing perspective in terms of the perceived amount of gloom, as it were.
Yeah, somewhere like this kind of ground as well, with kind of the different sizes of different stands and different kind of backgrounds at different areas, it's going to be harder to maybe pick up that red cricket ball than what it might be, for example, down at Southampton with that bowl of white seats. But anyway, the decision was made yesterday, wasn't it, to come off, and we've got ourselves a 3rd day at Wantage Road. Down the leg side, big appeal from Matt Henry. It's going to go down for 4 leg byes. James Rue wasn't far away from that behind the stumps.
Probably came at the right time yesterday. I know we still trail by 12 and 6 wickets down. There's a little bit more doom and gloom there than positivity, but it was a good little spell for that sort of 20 minutes that Tom Taylor batted before bad light, and it's sort of given us a chance to reset again this morning and just see where we can get to.
Played on the arc past Sean Dixon at cover. I don't know whether he's got a fingertip on that, but such a short boundary down there towards Tom Taylor's offside, towards the signal box, and he picks up 4. Wouldn't say he was in control of that shot, but it's 4 more added to the score. That deficit is just 4 now. That bottom hand just came off the bat, and say Sean Dixon at cover wasn't far away. But I think you're right. I think it was a nice cameo last night from Tom Taylor, just to give Somerset something else to think about. It gives Northamptonshire another day. You've only got to look up and you can see on the screen the fact that it's a lot brighter. There isn't as many clouds around as what there was last night. Gives himself a bit of room. Matt Henry just follows him there. Tom Taylor tucks that one into the leg side. And whether the umpires are just going to have a conversation to make sure that wasn't over waist height.
He's done it in a slightly different way, but he's probably batted the closest there's been to the Somerset batsman, and just in terms of that proactiveness, and he's got himself at his crease, he's got himself down the wicket, he's tried to knock bowlers off the length, as it were, and I think he's probably thought, I don't want to let people bowl at me. There's one with my name on if I do, and yeah, it's quite refreshing to see, I guess, isn't it?
Nicely played by Luke Proctor. That's gone past the slip cordon. I think that's going to be another 4. It is indeed. So with that shot there, Somerset are going to have to bat again. Northamptonshire 172 for 6, and they lead by 1 run as it stands. No, you're right. The positivity it's been quite noticeable. Ricardo Vasconcelos was positive in that innings of 78 in the first innings, and I mean his score there really does stand out in amongst his peers in that first innings. Saif Zaib's, I think, got 38, didn't he, in the first innings as well. Again, you can take that with a little bit more context. Oh, he's left that one and got himself outside the line of something the umpire says not out. He was obviously batting with the tail, so he had to be positive. There was a massive couple of 6s, wasn't it, over the leg side. And Tom Taylor, yeah, as you say, that proactiveness, that positivity that he's shown, he's got himself 29 not out of 21 balls in the second innings. played down again by Luke Proctor. Good over for Northamptonshire. 13 runs added to the score, and as I say, Somerset are going to have to bat again here at Wantage Road.
I think that's the first sort of little tick box tick this morning, I guess, isn't it? You know, make them bat again, not lose another wicket, and let's see where we get to from here.
Yeah, they're as we've seen over the course of the previous 2 days, they're a good side, Somerset. They scored that 500 against Hampshire the last round out as well. But you never know, do you? You get a nervy chase. I don't think people watching the stream will expect Northamptonshire to start setting them 150, 200 odd to win. You never know, of course. Tom Taylor's got the ability to do so. Gives himself a bit of room and opens up the offside and just puts that wound down to Shah Bashir. But 100 or so to bowl at, it gives you something to think about, doesn't it? It's not going to be the easiest of chases on a pitch that's offered a bit, and against Jack White, who's taken 10 wickets against Somerset this year already. Ben Sanderson's obviously as good as anybody in the county circuit with the new ball as well.
Yeah, it would definitely ask some questions, wasn't it? And I think that's probably the thing. And part of this is how much can they frustrate Somerset and the Somerset fielders and bowlers. I think that from a Somerset perspective, they've been talking about how quickly can we get these wickets, and can we bowl them out without having to bat again, and how small that run chase can be. And as soon as it starts to get, not saying that Northamptonshire are going to win, but as soon as it starts to get beyond 50, it starts to become a bit of a frustration as much as anything else, doesn't it? It becomes a bit of a fiddly little target that you've still got to go out and play properly.
Yeah, I think they'll be pretty disappointed that they didn't get the job done yesterday. They wouldn't have been devaluing Northants' efforts by any stretch, but I think they'll be disappointed the fact that bad light came. They were certainly in a really strong position at that point. That ball was doing an awful lot, wasn't it, under that cloud cover? And as Sam said on commentary yesterday, not exclusive to this Somerset group, but it's quite noticeable how much players enjoy their own bets. So it would have been a case of, can we get an extra couple of nights back home, regardless of whether you get back at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. It's you'd rather be home than in a hotel room.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's another, that would have potentially then been a day off for them today, going into another game next week. And everyone knows how sort of long the season is and how thick and fast games come. And any time you can get an extra day off, I'm sure it would be well received by the playing group. So yeah, I'm sure there was probably an element of frustration within, some feelings of success, because ultimately it was a really successful day for Somerset, and I think if you'd given it them at the start of the day, they would definitely have taken it. But yeah, having got so close, they probably just felt they could have got a couple more.
Yeah, absolutely. That single into the leg side from Luke Proctor just brought up the 50 partnership between Tom Taylor and his captain. Tom Taylor comes down the ground. He's timed that really nicely. It's going to be a bit of work out in the deep. Get 2. Moves to 32. I think the technical term for that is he timed the pants off that, Dan.
Yeah, he did that nice actually. He's struck the ball lovely since even last night when he batted. He's hit it lovely.
No, he's looked in good touch. Matt Henry then carry on from the David Capel end.
It's like you said, probably some of his most successful innings for Northamptonshire, and when he was at Leicestershire and Derby, probably came in white ball cricket. And he's taken some of that positivity into some of his innings with the red ball, and it's sort of paying dividends for him, I think, isn't it?
It certainly is today. We obviously know he's got the ability to clear the rope when he needs to. Hit some big sixes in the blast, didn't he, down the ground towards the Curo lounge. Quick run for Luke Proctor Tom Taylor gets through, and that's 50 for the Northamptonshire captain. 50 runs off 94 balls, 132 minutes and 5 fours for the skipper. A time when his county needed him. Luke Proctor stood up yesterday and batted in some pretty tough conditions against a high-quality attack. Got 63 last week against Middlesex down at Merchant Taylor School, so a bit of form. Tom Taylor down the ground. Big appeal for LBW and given by umpire Blackwell. Tom Taylor looks a bit disappointed. That has been given out. Tom Taylor goes for 32. LBW to Matt Henry. Matt Henry picks up his 4th wicket of the second innings, his 7th of the game. Northamptonshire find themselves 177 for 7. Looks like he's taken quite a step down there, Tom Taylor, and that's done a lot off the seam. Another wicket for Somerset. That lead is just 6. Ben Sanderson, the new man for Northamptonshire, on his way to join his captain. He and Jack White batted pretty nicely last time out here against Kent in not dissimilar situation.
Yeah, him and Sander had a nice little partnership together, and
it was about 80, wasn't it?
Yeah, hit the ball to all parts. Jack brought out his full repertoire of cricketing and non-cricketing shots, I think, but yeah, it was certainly entertaining.
He's going to be looking to spend as much time with his captain here as possible, I think.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the plan is, whether they take Tom's approach and try and get a few whilst they can, or whether they just get into survival mode and see how much time we can bat and how many runs will accumulate during that period.
I suppose you'd say, well, the obvious thing to say here is that Luke Proctor would be the most experienced, most established and better qualified batter to move this score along. I haven't seen him be aggressive, if that makes sense. Obviously, he hasn't played the white ball T20 competition for Northamptonshire. I'm sure he's obviously got the ability to go up through the gears when needed. Whether he looks to Ben Sanderson to do that kind of role, I suppose you have that question of, is your number 10 better off trying to survive, or are they better off trying to get yourself a quick 20, 30, 40, 50 maybe? Short ball from Matt Henry to start for Ben Sanderson. He's got 3 slips, a short leg. Fielder almost at a leg gully as well.
Yeah, I think if a ball's in Sando's area, I expect him to certainly take it on. And I don't think Luke will change the way he plays a huge amount. I think he might be a little bit cleverer in terms of when he rotates strike and things like that. But you know, ultimately we've still got to score runs whilst we're out here as well. And
nicely played from Ben Sanderson, just down into the ground, into the leg side. Just don't give you a moment's rest. I certainly haven't in this match, the Somerset seam attack. It's been, Casey Aldridge was a little bit expensive in that first innings. Obviously they still bowled Northamptonshire out for 180, but second innings it's been relentless from both ends. Driven down the ground, uppish and just past Matt Henry on his follow through. Sanderson's going to get 1. He's going to get himself off the mark.
yeah, it's the perfect seam attack, really, isn't it? You know, Matt Henry's got a bit of extra pace, not the tallest. Lewis Gregory probably a little bit slower, but you know, wicket to wicket, Craig Overton provides some height, and all 3 of those have got international experience, and it sort of allows the young Casey Aldridge to sort of learn his trade as well, and he's been mighty impressive this year for them. You probably couldn't ask for anything different, could they?
Yeah, they're very well qualified in that seam department. 3 slips for Luke Proctor. And then pretty much a ring for the rest of it. I don't know whether there's a fielder down at deep third. Probably don't need one. Short from Matt Henry. Luke Proctor looks to pull that one. Gets a nice top edge on it. Straight over keeper James Root. 4 more added to the score. Luke Proctor moves to 54. That leads 11. Northamptonshire 182 for 7. It doesn't matter where they come.
Oh no, exactly. I think that's probably the sign of intent from Luke there. He's been ducking and getting underneath them for his first 95 balls, and that probably just shows that he's thinking he's going to have a little bit of a go if it's in a place where he can as well. These can sometimes be quite frustrating little periods, can't they? You feel like you should get the wickets, and sometimes it can take you a lot longer and cost you a few more runs than you want.
Yeah, and I think they probably would have felt that way with Tom Taylor yesterday, respectfully to Tom. It was the perfect bowling conditions. They'd got through that Northamptonshire top and middle order pretty cheaply, and then they came up against a bit of resistance in what would have been the most favourable time to have bowled. They probably were expecting to keep going. I think it was 10 wickets in the session, 16 in the day, wasn't there? Nice shot from Ben Sanderson down to mid-on, timed that well to Matt Henry.
Yeah, I think without Tom's innings last night and the fact that the bad light did come, you know, we could have been turning up today still trailing by 45 or 50. And then it looks very different, doesn't it, in terms of whether Somerset are even going to bat again. So
yeah, of course. Short from Ben Sanderson. Pulled away. Couple of bounces, 4 runs. Craig Overton just dropping his length, and Sanderson throwing his hands through it, adding 4 more to the score. Yeah, as you say, they've got the ability to get a little bit frustrated. We've seen it plenty of times over recent years following the England Test team with their plans and tactics towards the tail, the lower middle order. And all of a sudden, you've added a few more runs to the score, and it's gone straight up over the slip cordon. Don't know whether that's going to run down to deep third. It is indeed. It's going to be back-to-back 4s for Ben Sanderson. Width offered from Craig Overton.
it's such a funny thing in cricket, isn't it? You almost, as a bowling attack, go away from what's been so successful for you and what's got you into that position, and come up with these different ideas and different plans, and it can often become even harder.
Yeah, particularly when you've got guys out there that have essentially got a bit of a free hand. There's Sanderson just tries to ramp that one over the cordon, doesn't get any bat on it. But no, you're right. It's Tom Taylor with the positivity that he played yesterday. It certainly gave you the vibe that there was a free hand for him, and Sanderson's come out and proved exactly the same. As I say, it can be quite dangerous. Not sure it's genuinely always planned, but Tailenders do have the ability to hit the ball in some pretty unorthodox areas. It can be quite difficult sometimes to set fields for your 9, 10 and 11. 190 for 7 then, or 43 overs, a lead of 19. You'd love to be a fly on the wall, wouldn't you, with the Somerset dressing room as to what kind of number it gets to before somebody starts going, come on lads, can we just get on with this now?
Yeah, I think if it gets to 50, I think it starts to become frustrating. I don't think they'd have any doubts that they were going to win the game. But I think, yeah, that starts to become you know, that could take us 20 overs and we've got
Yeah, true.
properly. And you know, I think what they won't want, you know, from a Somerset perspective is, you know, they were looking to win the game by innings. They'll want to hammer this game home, won't they? And I think if Northampton get 50, 60, 70 plus ahead, and potentially take 3 or 4 wickets with them,
Yeah, yeah,
it definitely breed some confidence. And
short and played nicely from Luke Proctor. Split the fielders on the leg side. He had 4 more, just swiveled on that. Getting quite distracted by the Jackson Grundy mob. No, not distracted. I'm kind of curious as to hear what the chants actually are. So I don't think distracted is the right word. I think it's more kind of intrigued as to what the next song is.
I want to know how long ago they planned to come.
Yes.
Was it a last minute thing, or have they been having it in the wheelhouse for a few weeks?
Short from Matt Henry. That one for the over, can't have been that far away from being a wide. That last shot, the one that went for 4, has brought about change in the field. There's 2 slips in now, and you've got fielders at kind of a deep square. We've got 2 of those, one in front and one just behind, with a pretty wide, fine leg as well. So I think they're going to be bowling short to Luke Proctor, looking to fall into that trap. I'm going to take one. It's definitely on offer if he wanted to take it. So yeah, it just proves that your point that you made earlier, that he's going to look to manage the innings slightly differently now that he's got Ben Sanderson with him as opposed to Tom Taylor. So I just got Tom Lammonby out the corner of my eye, just going through a bit of shadow batting down at... Not quite sure what you would call that position. It's not far away from being a bit of a backstop, almost like a fly slip, but quite a deep one there. So I just spotted him doing a bit of shadow batting, so he's obviously very aware of the fact that it might not be that long before he's got to go out there and...
It's got to be a horrible time as a top order batter, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Got to go and chase what's potentially going to be a relatively low score. All you can do is get yourself 15 or 20 not out, or you get out. It's a sort of lose-lose situation, really, as a top order batter, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to be excited at the prospect about going out there chasing 23, I don't think.
No. Be quite happy counting them down from the other end, wouldn't you?
Yes, precise. Yeah, resting on your bat handle. Yeah, we'll take one off the last ball of the over. Fielders come in for the last couple of balls.
Sure.
Nicely played by Luke Proctor. Just guided that one down past Shoaib Bashir. It's going to go all the way. Looks like the outfield sped up a little bit overnight, just down towards the party stand in the Jackson Grundy. They're not quite as... they felt quite grouped together at the start of the day. It's only been there for 32 minutes and they look like they've already started to fall out with each other.
They've taken over the whole block, haven't they?
Yeah.
Maybe they've thought there were other people coming in.
Maybe they're still on their way from Edgbaston.
That's it.
Assume it's taken them that long to get from the Hollies in their fancy dress. Oh. Whether that's
Want
gonna,
a good outcome here?
is it going to go? I mean, Northamptonshire aren't going to want it to go. It's not. It's going to just stop long before it gets to the boundary rope. So that's perfect for Northamptonshire. 9 runs off the over. An interesting choice of single. Matt Henry and Luke Proctor engaging in conversation at the end of the over as well. Still going.
Asking him what he had for dinner last night, perhaps.
I think so. I think so. But anyway, perfect over. 9 runs off at 199 for 7.
That's the perfect way for Luke to play it, I think, isn't it? You know, if you get an opportunity to put the ball away, do it, but don't take one. And those last couple of balls in each over, I think he's got enough faith in Sando to be able to block out an over if he has to. Yep. And if we can pick up 5, 6, 7 and over because we get a couple of boundaries off the last couple of balls, I think he'll be more than happy with that.
Yeah, having watched Ben play that ramp in the T20 Blast, I suspect there's kind of just increased his stock slightly with the bat, and it's kind of got, well, kind of trust you to hang around with me if you can play that kind of shot. Clouds just coming in over Northampton. Coming over quite quickly. Not as dark as what it was last night. Still a few patches of blue around. But now that those umpires have taken a reading, obviously that's going to be the mark, and if it's considered to be worthy of a test on the light meter, and if it's at that level, then obviously they're going to have to go off again. But as I say, not as gloomy as what it was last night, that's for sure. Proctor gives himself a bit of room, tries to open up the offside. Goes through to James Root. I think you can tell that just starting to get a little bit irritating for Somerset. Matt Henry obviously had that conversation with Luke Proctor at the end of the last over, and Craig Overton just extended the follow through there slightly as well. Nicely played by Proctor. Solid in defence.
There's a few more hands on hips and a few more people just waiting for something, can't they?
Yeah, we can see Sean Dixon. He's just stopped. As I was about to say, you could see him just doing a bit of shadow batting down at deep mid wicket. To the leg side. It's going to be a single off the fourth ball of the over. 200 up for Northamptonshire off 44.4 overs. Making sure that Somerset have to bat again in this game. And Ben Sanderson has got a couple of balls to survive against Craig Overton. Short leg comes in. Interesting to see how Ben looks to play this one. He's quite aggressive against Craig Overton, wasn't he, the over before? But whether he and Luke have had that conversation to say, I'll do the work.
I think that could be your answer, Dan.
It's still going to be really difficult for those 9, 10, 11s to kind of put that natural willingness to try and score out of their mind. Still get the impression there could be one of those flashy drives that go somewhere.
Temptation.
There is one of those flashy drives, but it's gone straight through to James Root. So it's 1 run off the over. 200 for 7 off 45. Lead is 29. Luke Proctor will be on strike for the next Matt Henry over. He's bowled 14 overs, 3 maidens, 4 for 65. You kind of a mentality thing with a tail as well. You kind of think that they might be a little bit more susceptible to a little bit of chirp that potentially has just started to develop into the Somerset seam attack as well.
Bowlers want to whack bowlers as well, don't they? They want to get one up on their counterpart, as it were.
Absolutely. With the way that Lewis Gregory, Craig Overton and Matt Henry kind of treated the Northants attack with a bit of disdain at the end of day one, there's a bit of bragging rights up for grabs. Down the ground, Proctor, that's gone into the gap. I think it's going to definitely be 2. Placed that quite nicely in the end. It's going to add 2 to the score. Certainly he wouldn't have taken that if that was just going to be a single out to deep mid wicket.
No, he knew pretty quickly, didn't he, that he was getting back for 2.
Short, pulled away, straight to, that's Tom Abel that's gone out and plugged that gap. Deep backward square. As I say, they've almost got a bit of a ring on the boundary down behind square on the leg side.
It's funny what that wicket of Tom Taylor does as well. You know, it's only 20 minutes ago that they had 3 slips of gully to Luke Proctor and pretty much a ring field.
Yeah, well, the responsibility's changed, hasn't it? Slightly. Tom Taylor was clearly the one that's been given the responsibility of being the aggressor, whereas with the arrival of Ben Sanderson, it's fallen on, and quite rightly so, the batter's shoulders. That field is spread now to try and give Somerset as big of an, or as many opportunities to bowl at Ben Sanderson as they possibly can. Just off the hip into the leg side, and it's going to be a dot ball. Matt Henry just invites his Somerset teammates in off the boundary for the last couple of balls.
Interesting he didn't take the single there. Just fancy having a bit of a go perhaps off these last two. He was quite happy to take it off the fourth ball of Overton's over, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think Matt Henry might be a little bit quicker than Craig Overton. So I suspect potentially they might be thinking, well, might not be the worst thing if Ben has to face up against Craig. That Matt Henry bouncer, pretty well directed.
Yeah, Sando's probably told him I'm a bit more happy down this end or something of that nature, yeah.
I say, still got 2 balls to get that single, and there's plenty of areas to do so, but that certainly wasn't aiming for that single, was it? That would have disappeared straight over the com-save stand if Luke Proctor had connected with that one. Frustrated with himself. 1 ball left in the over then. Take the quick single, well fielded by Bashir at point. Could have been close if there was a direct hit, but Sanderson makes his ground. Northants pick up the single off the last ball of the over, which is exactly what they're after. Proctor moves to 67. He will keep the strike and go against Craig Overton from the Lynn Wilson centre end. That lead now 32, Dan. Only 18 away from that kind of annoying 50 runs that we spoke about a little bit earlier on stream.
Yeah, it's definitely it's getting itself up there, isn't there? You know, we've not seen them change the field and you know, even have this many conversations. You've got Overton, Henry, Gregory, Abel all talking about what to do and where to go here, and it's just given Somerset something to think about for, you know, for one of the first times in the game, perhaps.
Yeah, even as well as Ricardo Vasconcelos batted in the first innings, Somerset always felt as though there was a wicket, or there was always a wicket falling at the other end. So as much as they would have found Vasconcelos, I don't know whether they would have found it frustrating, because it was quite enjoyable. Well, it was very enjoyable to watch, actually. There's some cracking shots in there, but they never felt as though they were struggling to get wickets, were they?
No, and I don't think their plan ever changed to him either, did it?
No. Shorter, nicely played by Luke Proctor, and that's beaten the fielder down on the boundary. He's going to pick up 4. It was always going to be 2. It's going to be 4 more added to the score. Bit of a misfield there, and Luke Proctor moves into the 70s.
Yeah, they kept pitching it up to Ricardo. They were quite happy looking for the edge, but yeah, he batted sublimely yesterday, in fairness, and he got a really good one, from what I remember in the first innings, didn't he?
He did indeed, yeah. Yeah. Back on the money that time from Craig Overton, offering Luke Proctor no width to work with. So he'd be very happy that there was that misfield down in front of the players' balconies there to add 4 to the score. His other options really, when it comes to boundaries, are down the ground, aren't they? Over the offsides.
Yeah, which is no easy feat from a guy bowling from 6'5".
Shorter, pulled away by Proctor. Straight to the man at mid-wicket. Keep the strike. Yeah, he's not going to offer you many drive balls that you can get underneath.
No, looks like Casey Aldridge is going for a bit of a warm-up down at third man, perhaps.
Yeah, he'll offer that bit of extra pace. Be the quickest guy for Somerset. little bit of seam movement back into Luke Proctor, still there. So that cloud cover's come over. Haven't started to see that Dukes just swing around quite as much as what it was yesterday. It is 46.5 overs. Overs old now. With a pitch on day 3 that would have had the heavy roller on it a couple of times as well. Would have flattened it out a touch. Gives himself a bit of room and guides that one through the offside and adds another 4 to the score. 211 for 7. The lead is 40. 1 ball left in Craig Overton's 14th over. Hard to see where that single opportunity is here with the field set the way it is.
Found the boundary well there, hasn't he? Especially when they brought that field up. He's looked in really, really good touch, actually.
Particularly that shot down to kind of deep point, deep third man. It's been really, really effective for him. Just had a bit of a glance over his shoulder. He's got 2 men out, deep square and deep fine leg as well. Just to guide that one down to the players' balconies. Doesn't get any bad on it. It's going to be a dot ball to finish. 8 runs from the over. So this is what Somerset are after. Potentially 6 balls at Ben Sanderson from Matt Henry. Let's see how Ben Sanderson plays it. I think he's either got to be looking for 1 to get his captain back on strike, or at this point here he's almost got to try and just get whatever runs he can added to the score, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. If he can get off strike, that's a bonus, and if he can find a way to get the ball to the boundary, then absolutely fantastic. But
I don't think he's going to be the type of batter that's going to be 28 not out of 70 odd, 70, 80 odd balls, is he? It's
no. No, when he gets his runs, he tends to get them at a fairly good rate, doesn't he?
Yeah. 9 off 11 so far for Sanderson. 3 slips back in for Somerset and a short leg as well. It's catching mid-wicket. Cover is pretty close in on the offside. It's defended solidly by Ben Sanderson. See on the screen there, you can get in contact with us if you'd like to on day 3. Twitter Northants CCC or email stream@nccc.co.uk. It's gone past the outside edge. It squared Ben Sanderson up there and through to the wicket keeper. Bit of shape away from the Northants batter.
He's doing well to nick those, I think, isn't he?
I think it looked like he missed it by a bit of a distance, didn't he?
Almost did too much.
One's come back in to Sanderson. That's what's been so impressive from Henry in particular, just the ability to move the ball both ways, not only through the air but off the pitch as well. Looks like Lewis Gregory might be getting a bit loose at mid-wicket as well. He's just rolled the arm over. Back to Matt Henry. That's chipped back from Ben Sanderson. Caught and bowled for the New Zealand international. He's picked up 5 wickets. 5 for 68 off 15.4 overs. Sanderson has to go for 9. Northamptonshire are 211 for 7. Lead is 40. As I say, Matt Henry's got 5 wickets. And he has been absolutely quality here at Northampton over the last 3 days. I think that's 8 wickets in the match now for Matt Henry.
He's been a great signing for them, hasn't he? Did well in the Blast, done well in 4-day cricket.
Yeah, leading wicket taker in the Blast. Did well at Kent last year, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah, he had a great season for Kent, didn't he? Didn't he take 60-odd championship wickets?
I think so, yeah. He's the type of... He's that quality, isn't he, that when, I think I said it a couple of times, but when that press release goes out to say that, oh, we've signed Matt Henry for, and what's quite a long period of the summer as well, you suddenly go, that's a really good signing for the club. Jack White in at number 10 then.
So I think he bowls a bit quicker as well, doesn't he? But it's almost as though in 4-day cricket he sort of just bowls within himself and knowing he's going to bowl a lot of overs and just consistently hits his spots.
Yeah, he's been a couple of mile an hour quicker than Overton throughout the course of the game, but I think you're right in saying that it's been very much a case of he's got more if he wanted it. He obviously knows that Somerset play, I think, Surrey on Tuesday, so there's another game coming around the corner. Obviously had finals day, didn't he, at the weekend as well. And with the way that the movement that's been on offer with the grass on the pitch and with the overheads as well, he hasn't needed to come in and bowl any quicker. Jack White on strike then. 4 slips in place for Somerset. Change of angle for Matt Henry as well.
That's that difference with the point around the Duke's ball and the Kookaburra ball, isn't it? That, you know, you don't actually have to bowl 95 miles an hour with that Duke's because there's enough there and enough assistance for you.
Yeah, absolutely right. Nicely played by Jack White. Just played that down in front of the slip cordon. So I think it was a career best for Jack White against Kent here at Wantage Road last time out.
Yeah, I definitely can't remember getting any more than that.
A wicket maiden for Somerset and Matt Henry, 211 for 8. 16 overs, 4 maidens, 5 for 68 for the Kiwi. The lead now Northamptonshire is at 40. Yeah, it was 59 against Kent. Also batted 10 that game. 59 off 76 balls, 8 fours at a strike rate of 77. You never know.
You never know.
Field spread then for Luke Proctor as he's on strike. Craig Overton in from the Lynn Wilson centre end. Short ball. Proctor's just pulled out of that one. It's got a little bit big on him, I think, as that's gone through. Recognises the fact that he's got the long boundary out on the leg side from this end. So at this stage here, to find a boundary for Luke Proctor is going to be incredibly difficult, isn't it? He goes over the offside. It's collected by the Somerset fielder. Deep cover.
Yeah, Overton's going to keep hitting the pitch, isn't he, back of a length? And I think it, yeah, as you say, a boundary could be pretty tough to come by. Be interesting to see if he shows the same faith in Jack White that he did do in Sando, or whether he Proctor changes it slightly more.
Yeah, I don't see it being that different with Ben Sanderson. Kind of feel like the plan will be the same. So with this shorter length from Craig Overton now, and with those fielders on the boundary behind square, it does look very difficult, doesn't it, to find the boundary. And it's just squared him up slightly and played that out to deep point.
Yeah, with that shorter side offside as well, it's not really even a pocket for a 2 either, is there?
Not really, no. Change in the field. Those players on the offside have just started to make their way into the ring.
Dangling a carrot a little bit here.
There's just 2 balls left in the over, isn't there, I think? away. That's gone over Lewis Gregory. That's going to be 4. Four more then for Northamptonshire. Lead of 44. Yeah, it's definitely an invite, isn't it, to be a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, there's still 2 balls left, is there?
There is now, yeah, sorry.
It's the first time they've done it that early, isn't it?
Yeah.
Almost just tempting.
Nicely played by Luke Proctor. Just ramped it over the keeper, James Drew. It's gone straight down the ground. No, I thought, do you know what? I thought I was right. I thought I'd counted 4 dot balls before that one. I think the scorers might have missed one. So it's 8 runs off the over in the end.
Should never trust the scoreboard, should you?
83 for Luke Proctor.
It's done me again.
Well, when I said it with so much confidence, I was a little bit disappointed that I actually spotted on there going, but I'm certain I've seen 4 dot balls from Craig Overton in this over. The Somerset have they've got what they wanted, haven't they? It might have cost them 8 runs to do so, but potentially they've got 6 deliveries from Matt Henry to Jack White, 4 slips, short leg, catching cover. Change of the field again. Fine leg comes up. It's going to go to backward square. Got backward point.
Leg by for one would be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be handy. See what Jack White has got up his sleeve today. Gives himself a bit of room. Tucks that one eventually into the leg side, and he does get that one. It wasn't quite the leg by that you thought, but it'll do.
Well, the cover drive through mid wicket for one. It's a valuable shot.
It's underrated, isn't it? Gives Luke Proctor the 5 balls then to face for the rest of the over. Jack White gets himself off the mark. And those Somerset fielders just disperse around Wantage Road now. So Proctor's got the short leg side boundary this end, which makes it a little bit more of an appealing prospect.
Absolutely, and Somerset are going to need to get 50.
Yes, that is that first kind of tricky number that we spoke about, wasn't it? About an hour ago. Slower ball from Matt Henry. Luke Proctor not interested in the single. Still got no idea what's coming through.
It's just noise.
It's always just an interesting / frustrating period of the game. It's just elongating a batting innings. Interesting for obviously the Northamptonshire perspective of, well, just how many runs can we get? What can we set Somerset to win? It's pace off from Matt Henry. 2 balls left in the over, so those fielders do converge. 220 for 8. Interesting to see what Matt Henry's tactics are going to be here. He's had a couple there that have been pace off. So it really is a ring field now with just fine leg down on the boundary. You can tell that there's a fair bit of thought process going into this part of the game with the conversations that are being had between deliveries. Nicely played from Luke Proctor. Cut away down towards point. That's 4 more to the score. He moves to 87. Lead now 53, 224 for 8.
Yeah, it's definitely been weirdly sort of Northamptonshire's morning so far. And haven't rolled over, and as you say, it's starting to frustrate the Somerset bowlers and side. And there's a lot more conversation and thought process going into what's happening out there now.
Yeah, it hasn't quite worked for them, has it, with the plan of trying to get 6 balls at Ben Sanderson or Jack White. We've had a couple of moments where Luke Proctor's managed to pick up a single off the last ball of the over. We've had a couple of moments where Jack White or Ben Sanderson has picked up one off the first ball of the next over. It hasn't quite worked for them.
No, arguably the first time that Matt Henry did get a chance at Sanderson for 3 or 4 balls, he picked up the wicket, didn't he?
Play a miss from captain Luke Proctor. End of the over. 50 overs gone now. 224 for 8. Leader 53. Proctor's on 87. Jack White on 1. Jack White will be on strike. And Craig Overton will continue from the Lynn Wilson Centre end this morning in Northampton. It's an hour done. It's an hour of day 3 ticked off. So as you say, they got themselves into a lead. That's probably the hour was possibly another milestone.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lead of 50 was definitely a big tick off, isn't it? Yeah. Managed to add another, what, 73 in the first hour there?
Yep. Yeah, it's been a really positive morning with the bat for Northants. And that is out. That's the end of the innings then. So the positivity does have to come to an end. 224 for 8. We won't see Sam Whiteman. So we spoke earlier about he left the ground yesterday to be with his wife for the birth of their 3rd child. So 224 for 8 is the end of the innings for Northamptonshire. The lead is 53. So it will just be a little tricky chase for Somerset. We'll take a little bit of a break down, shall we? So it'll be 10 minutes between innings. So we'll be back in a few minutes. Welcome back. On day 3 at Wantage Road, Northants are in the field, ready to go. 2 Somerset openers make their way out to the middle. Northamptonshire have just been bowled out for 224, following on from Somerset's 351 in the first innings, and Somerset require 54 runs to win. Heavy roller's been out. It's got the longest part of the ground to make its way off, so going to be starting that soon, Dan. But yeah, Somerset have got 54 to win.
Yeah, what do you think the Northamptonshire target is? 3 wickets? 4 wickets? You would say they've given just want to make it difficult?
I think it's an opportunity. You can see the positivity. There's 4 slips in place. Sanderson, as we said a little bit earlier today, will be as good as anybody with the new Dukes. Jack White has been superb this year. Had 2 fifers against Somerset. I think he's got 28 first-class wickets this season as well. That cloud cover now is across the county ground, so hopefully there's movement off the pitch and through the air. Stream powered by Daffabet at Wantage Road, and Ben Sanderson is in to bowl. Tom Lammonby is solid in defence. First up, say it's from a player's perspective, and clearly I've never played of any great level, but in any situation where you've potentially gone out there and got to chase down 40, 50, 60, it's one of the most unpleasant periods of being a professional cricketer. You sit there and you think, well, it should be an easy little run chase, but you're not going to do yourself any favours whatever you end up doing. Driven down the ground from Tom Lammonby, holds the pose. That's 4. Over pitched from Sanderson. Lammonby gets 4. 50 to win. As I say, you put your pads on if you're opening, you walk out to bat and you think, well, best case scenario, I might be 30 not out at the end of the day. Is that going to mean anything to my career? And I'm sure professional cricketers aren't that interested in their statistics as much as what club cricketers are. But you get the moments and you think, oh, well, that's not really ideal. You bat 3 or 4, you potentially sit up there thinking, blimey, have I really got to go out there and win 3 to win?
Yeah, I'd say there'd be 9 players sat on the balcony hoping that one of these 2 gets a quick 30 and gets the game done from a Somerset perspective, aren't there?
Yeah. Yeah, the prospect of walking out with single figures left on the board to win a game of cricket is far from ideal.
Yeah, fielding sides always pick up on that, and they enjoy your displeasure in that as much as anyone, I think, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, 4 slips, Vasconcelos, Gay, Broad and Taylor, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Safe save doing the fielding at square leg. Mid on and mid off, and Jack White down it. Fine leg. Really, I do enjoy watching Jack White just be around a cricket field. First of all, I love watching him bowl. He's been superb this year at Wantage Road for Northants, and the little stretches that you couldn't see just round the corner there were superb. Oh, it's a chance. It's gone down. I don't know whose that was. I don't know whether that was Taylor's or Broad's. It's gone down. What a start that could have been. 4 for 1. As it is, Tom Lammonby gets a life. Oh, it's tough. Do you think it carried? I think it might have done, but
I think it just carried.
Kind of split Tom Taylor and Justin Broad perfectly, didn't it?
You're going to nick it to the slips. That's the best place to nick it, I think. In the gap, barely carrying.
Oh, it's gone past the outside edge this time. Lammonby play a miss. So 4 runs off the first over. Tom Lammonby's on 4. Good start from Ben Sanderson. Created the opportunity, which we think up here just about carried. I think Justin Broad is, that might have been a bit sore on the end of the fingers as he tried to get it underneath the ball before it touched the turf. And then Jack White course, he's going to bowl from the Lynn Wilson centre end. He's going to have those 4 slips in place as well.
Yeah, I think they've been talking about that catch for a long time if he'd taken it. It's probably a half chance, isn't it? But one you need when you've only got 53 on the board.
Yeah, of course. You need everything to go your way, don't you? Jack White into bowl, then Sean Dixon to face his first ball of the day. Big drive through the covers. Northants going to give chase, but I think that's going to be in vain. Over pitched from Jack White, and it's 4 added to the score. Dixon off the mark straight away. 46 now to win for Somerset. Dixon advances. He looks like he's in a hurry.
Yeah, there's certainly a little bit of intent there, isn't there?
Looking to Jack White back over his head down the ground, I think, on that one. There's a call at the end, or before that ball, take a couple with us, Jackie.
I think that's definitely the right mindset to have, isn't it? And the best way of going about it. Let's see if we can get a couple and then see where we go.
And money from Jack White.
Same with the batting this morning, you know, trailing by 20, 3 wickets left. We could easily have got beaten by an innings, and I don't think anyone was necessarily expecting us to get 300 ahead, but it was about, could we show a bit of fight and a bit of grit and at least give them something to think about. It's probably the same now, isn't it? Can we get a couple of wickets and at least make it uncomfortable?
Yeah, and you never know. You never know what or where that spark might end up coming from. So obviously these games come thick and fast, don't they? Northants play again on Tuesday away up in Manchester against Lancashire. So that little kind of innings this morning where those 70, 80 runs were added in quick time. Bit of positivity, a bit of confidence, and potentially 3, 4, maybe even 5 cheap wickets against Somerset in this second innings as well. You suddenly go, well, okay, it's not been our game, but your last memory is a positive one going into the next game.
Yeah, absolutely. What momentum and what can you build to take into next week? You don't often get weeks off and time to regroup and really train, work on things. It's what can you find game to game as much as anything else, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely right. And there's an opportunity to do exactly that. Just on the finger there of Tom Lammonby. Justin Broad, I think, is just going to get a little bit of treatment on that finger. Jack White, first overs gone for 5, 4 runs off the bat and a leg bye. 9 for no loss, 45 to win now for Somerset.
Justin Broad just getting a bit of treatment there on that finger.
Yeah, it looked a bit sore, didn't it, as he desperately tried to get the finger under the ball. As
yeah, it's not the warmest out there either, is it?
It certainly doesn't look it. It's nice in this, nice in the
Yeah.
commentary box though. Yeah, bit of sellotape, bit of plaster, couple of paracetamol will be all right, won't he? Bit of sympathy, I think, for, well, I don't know whether you get much sympathy with regards to finger injuries from Luke Proctor. He strikes me as quite a tough character.
I think you might need your leg to be hanging off before he...
Yeah. You can see Emilio Gay there, can't you? Just kind of trying to warm his hands up. Just highlighting the point that it's not the warmest out there today. Sanderson to Sean Dixon. Left well alone. No ball from Ben Sanderson. It's be one more. 44 now to win. 10 for no loss. Use the extra one, I think, would be the call on most Saturdays.
It normally gets you a wicket, that does, doesn't it?
Typically, yeah. Yeah. Be surprised as to how often.
7th ball.
How often that happens. 11 for no loss. And that is out. First wicket, Ben Sanderson gets Sean Dixon. Caught behind. Lewis McManus with a catch. 11 for 1. The extra ball works. We called it. 11 for 1 then. 43 to win for Somerset and 1 down. Can they take any more with them? Good catch by Lewis McManus. Sean Dixon's got to go for 4. Just started to tail back in, I think, towards McManus as he's taken that step to his right. Very good catch.
Oh, he's a good solid gloveman, isn't he?
Yeah. Tom Abel then, Somerset captain, in at number 3. Join Tom Lammonby at the crease.
Another wicket or two would be nice, wouldn't it?
It would indeed. Tom Abel looked pretty good for his 34 in the first innings, but I don't think he's had the most fruitful of years so far this season. So potentially an opportunity for Sanderson and Northants to go back-to-back with a couple of wickets. Is Nigel Long gonna? He's not interested. He's not interested. The boos from the Jackson Grundy. Nearly. I thought we were going to see a Nigel Long wave then. Oh, it's a big appeal for LBW. Umpire's not interested. That's jagged back sharp in towards Tom Abel. I think it might have got him in the thigh pad, didn't it?
Yeah, it looked
quite
in
high.
first instance like it might be high. Yeah, I think that's high, isn't it?
Optimistic from Northants. Sanderson can't believe it.
10 out of 10 for the appeal, though.
That was good appeal. Celeb appeal, I think
Yeah.
they would call it. It's an incredible racket from about 7 people, isn't it?
Gives you a bit of context of what it must be like when Stuart Broad rallies the crowd at the test match.
You say Nigel Long doesn't have quite the same gravitas as Stuart Broad. We got the wicket with the ball straight after the no ball. Does the 7th ball have any value in this over as well for Ben Sanderson and Northamptonshire? Tom Abel 0 off 2. Defends that one into the leg side. Successful over for Ben Sanderson and Northamptonshire, 11 for 1 after 3. Somerset need 43, and there we go. There's the protagonists. How many are there? 10? 9.
9.
9. I think the chap in the grey jumper didn't get the memo, did he? Everybody else has turned up in fancy dress and... Jack White from the Lynn Wilson centre end. He's got 3 slips in for Tom Lammonby. It's just down the leg side. It's not a good delivery from Jack. It's turned around the corner. It's going to be 4, I think. It is indeed. Somerset moved to 15 for 1. Tom Lammonby on 8. 39 now to win for Somerset.
Oh yeah, I recognise one of the group, Dan. I
Do you?
Yeah, they're consistent.
Which one?
They're consistent. Not in fancy dress.
Right. Okay.
So I think more of the chaperone and organiser than the partaker.
And is that recognised as a Wantage Road local, or is that recognised in your private life?
No, to do with the club.
Yeah.
To do with the club. Yeah. No, a supporter of the clubs and a partner of the clubs. Ali's been a long-time supporter of ours. This is I think their biannual trip up to the county ground. They come for a day of county cricket and a one-day cup game usually.
Driven nicely from Tom Lammonby down the ground. Rob Keogh does the fielding.
Bit disappointed. Last time they had a traffic cam.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there was a slightly bigger group, and it's almost as though everybody has to come in different fancy dress. Can't have 2 of the same.
Well, it almost starts to look quite organised, wouldn't it, if everybody had kind of paired up the outfits? But I guess we might get a bit of a bigger party for the one-day cup game in August.
Yeah, definitely. The two Sunday fixtures. We've got our family day and community day. They're always really well supported, and hopefully we get some nice weather through August, and yeah, it'll be some really good one-day cup games actually, and some sides that we've not played in 50 over cricket for a little while, which is nice. And yeah,
Is that the game against Derbyshire, the family day?
Yeah, Derbyshire, and then the game against Sussex as well.
So the family day is the Derbyshire and the community day is the Sussex day?
You're testing me now, Dan. I
Or
think Derbyshire might be community day.
okay,
Family day is the 6th, which I think is Sussex game.
right, gotcha.
Derbyshire is the 20th, which is community day. Slightly nice how they draw out sort of the 2 groups for the one day cup now. They just give you a bit more variety in terms of who you play. And we had Essex here last year and Sussex here this year. The teams that we've not seen in 50 over cricket or white ball cricket at the ground for a little while.
Dot ball to finish, 4 runs off it, 15 for 1 after 4.
Sorry, Dan. I was going to say there's nothing wrong with the blast, and it's a great competition. But we do see the same teams year on year with that north-south group, and yeah, it's nice. The one-day cup's slightly different now, and just get to welcome some different sides, and supporters get to see players and people they've not seen for a little while as well, which just gives you a bit more variety, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. As you say, the blast, certainly not a stale competition, but you do end up seeing familiar faces, don't you, the whole way through the calendar. But then, on the flip side, it does save you that Friday night trip down to Bristol or potentially Essex or Somerset, for example, which logistically, when there's a chance that it could be a home game on the Saturday afterwards, is pretty impossible really to manage and negotiate, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That north-south split makes absolute sense, doesn't it? So they come so thick and fast now.
Past the outside edge, Ben Sanderson. So yeah, you've got Sussex on the 6th in the one-day cup. Somerset again on the 9th. So would have seen them already, but there'll be a slightly different outfit in that competition. So that's on the 9th of August. Where do we go next? Worcestershire at home on the 16th of August. And then the game against Derbyshire on the 20th. They're the home fixtures for the one-day cup. Nicely played by Tom Lammonby. Just leans into it had insult to injury. Ben Sanderson's overstepped, so that's going to be 6 runs added to the score, I believe. It's going to be 21 for 1. It's going to be 33 now to win for Somerset. Tom Abel gets himself off the mark. Nice looking shot from Somerset's captain. Down the leg side. One more added to the score, 22 for 1. Bye signalled by the umpire. A fairly strong Northamptonshire squad for the one-day cup as well. It's only David Willey and Safe Save, isn't it, that have been drafted up to the 100, so pretty full strength.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hopefully it puts us in good stead and we can have a really good crack at it. I think look at the last couple of years and sides that have been able to win that competition, Glamorgan and Kent, I think the 2 years since we've had the 100, and neither of those sides you'd necessarily have put down as favourites in a 50 over competition, without those players going off to the 100. So yeah, it definitely gives us confidence and hope that we can have a really good month of August and try and get into the business end of the competition.
Yeah, find a bit of form and a bit of momentum through that competition. Good delivery there from Ben Sanderson, just beating Tom Lammonby. Goes through to keeper Lewis McManus. Lammonby on 8 off 16 for the Somerset opener. 32 to win. It's just as we said earlier, it's just that kind of already 20 runs kind of ticked off and he's 8 not out. It just doesn't really help anybody, does it? Away this time. It's the end of the over. Eventful with a no ball. Leg by, quite a long one for Ben Sanderson. 22 for 1 score, 32 to win. Jack White's going to carry on from the Lynn Wilson centre end. Three slips still in place for Jack White. Oh, genuine edge and falls just short of Justin Broad. Does well to field that one. It might have just aggravated that finger that he's bruised a couple of overs ago. Genuine edge, wasn't it? Quite a long way short from Justin Broad at third slip. Squaring Tom Abel up as he looks to play that one into the leg side. He's into the leg side. I think it's going to be a leg by. So one more added to the score. 23 now. Lovely shot by Tom Lammonby and well fielded by Jack White off his own bowling. A lovely email coming from Richard Watkins. Thank you for emailing us. I'll read that after this delivery from Jack. Nice shot, solid by Tom Lammonby. Hi chaps, just want to say how much I have appreciated your commentary. Occasionally as an away supporter, typically from Lords or the Oval. I use mute to cut out some nauseating commentary. By contrast, yours has been admirably dispassionate. I did have to Google that word. It's not one that I'd kind of come across that regularly in my career so far. But thanks for your email, Richard. Thanks for your company over the last couple of days. Outside edge. One more for Tom Lammonby. 30 to win now for Somerset. It's nice to hear from you, Richard, and glad you've enjoyed the stream over the last couple of days. It's been that kind of blowing our own trumpet. It's been quite a consistent feel throughout the course of the year so far, the positivity with regards to the impartiality and the joy and the time that the away supporters have watched the stream at Northamptonshire.
Yeah, definitely. It's the last thing that anybody wants, even when we play away, is to turn the live stream that's so overly home biased, as it were, or home favorited, that it becomes an unenjoyable product or something that you can't engage with for that level of time. I guess it's it's not 10 minutes. It's a good chunk. So yeah, no, definitely, and yeah, it's been really pleasing for us to have such sort of consistently positive feedback across the board, and testament to you, Dan. You've been nice and impartial.
Just so what you see, Dan.
Well, we just haven't converted you yet. Maybe that's what it is.
It could be a completely maybe Richard, maybe you've caught me at a good time. It could be a completely different story in September, couldn't it? Might end up with a bigger flag than Wendell Pemberton or something in the back of the box. You never know. Only if you're going to let me store it in your offices, though. That's my criteria. It's a great delivery from Ben Sanderson past the outside edge of Tom Lammonby. Tricky conditions, isn't it, to bat in?
Yeah, as a batsman as well, don't you? He stood there knowing that he can't win in this, and he doesn't really want to be out there doing it, and just wants it to be over as much as anything else, and those 29 runs to have ticked off.
Left the lane. It's been well disciplined though from Lammonby in this short chase. Say Sean Dixon certainly gave you the impression he was in a hurry to get the job done, which I think is probably the right thing to do. Get on with it, but Lammonby on the other hand has been watchful and very patient. Hasn't tried to manufacture a scoring shot yet. Shape away. You can see the movement on offer there as Manas just takes that one, carries on his follow through past Vasconcelos at first slip.
Yeah, I think Dixon was going to have a bit of a go, wasn't he, and try and get it moving along, and having lost that wicket, they've almost sort of gone the other way now and just trying to make sure they don't lose another one.
Yeah, just get the job done. Oh, it's past Justin Broad. Genuine edge from Tom Lammonby. It's flown down to the boundary, so it's 4 more. 26 now to win for Somerset. Interested to see how close that was. I don't think it carried. Interesting just to see how wide it might have been. Oh, fairly wide. It probably would have found that exact same spot between Tom Taylor had he been there at 4th slip still.
Yeah, I think he's just gone back in. Interesting to see if it would have carried to him at 4th, actually.
Yeah, he's back in there now. So 4 slips then for the last ball of Sanderson's 4th over. Solid in defence by Tom Lammonby. So 7 overs gone. Ben Sanderson's bowled 4. He's 1 for 16. He got the wicket of Sean Dixon. Somerset 28 for 1. Require 26 to win here at Northampton. I think Jack White and Ben Sanderson will just bowl the whole way through, or do you think we'll end up with a? They bowled about 6 overs each, didn't they? I think in the first innings. Do you go to Justin Broad? Do you go to Luke Proctor, Tom Taylor, Rob Keogh even?
I think they'll bowl the whole way through, to be honest. Jack's into his 4th over now, isn't it? You know, I could see them bowling 8 overs each.
Yeah.
Perhaps if they still needed 15 or 20, maybe there'd be a change and have a little rest. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see both of these just continue all the way through, to be honest. Sando looks like he's in quite a nice rhythm at the other end. And, you know, there's been a couple of half chances and little bits created at both ends, hasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can, then yeah, bowl your best bowlers for as long as you possibly can. Not to take anything away from Tom Taylor, Luke Proctor, etc. But these two have certainly been. Well, Jack, looking at statistics, has been head and shoulders above the rest, hasn't he?
Yeah, and they've both found consistent movement, haven't they? I presume we're into territory of an extra half an hour at lunch, are we? And
I would think so.
Things on.
I would think so. Some of the rules in the county championship, they do confuse me somewhat, but yeah, it's 19 minutes until what would be your traditional lunch, and then the ability to extend the game by 30 minutes if obviously required. Big appeal for LBW. He's come a long way across. Slipped Corden, and Jack White liked it. Leg by signalled. Umpire wasn't interested. Have a look back on this one on the replay. Might have got himself outside the line of off stump, but possibly worth another look if the facility was there to do so. One more ticked off the score anyway.
Got himself a long way across, didn't he?
He did, trying to negate the movement. But no, I'd imagine that 30 minutes is available.
That would be the sensible thing, I'd say.
Yeah, it would seem daft, wouldn't it, to stop for 40 minutes if that score was down towards single figures. I think it did happen, didn't it, down at Hampshire earlier this season? I don't think it might have been lunch. I think it might have been tea, and I've got a feeling they had to go back out. I think Hampshire had to go back out to bat with about 2 or 3 runs required to win, maybe even less. I think it was against Nottinghamshire. Shorter from Jack White. End of the over. 8 gone, 30 for 1, 24 to win. Jack White wicketless off his 4 overs for the 10 runs. It'd be really helpful, and not that you would ever kind of expect it, but to have the umpires mic'd up, kind of get a vibe of that conversation, and obviously you get straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak, wouldn't you, about the rulings and the judgments, because it's always really difficult with the instance like last night with the bad light. You're kind of isolated away from the 2 people that are making those key decisions, and it would just be interesting to be able to provide a little bit of context as to the decision that's been made.
Yeah, and some of that process as well, I suppose, isn't it? You know, especially for spectators and everyone sat around, you're sort of looking out and, okay, it looks a bit gloomy, looks as gloomy as it, you know, to the naked eye, perhaps as gloomy as it did 10 minutes ago. What's changed, and what is that conversation to bring you to that point? Because yeah, it's often the way in all forms of cricket when people go off a bad light or potential thunder and rain that's incoming, that there's always a bit of perplexion in the stands. Yes, yeah.
Rugby do it pretty well, don't they? On TV anyway, the referees are mic'd up, but it feels like it's the only
the only real sport
big sport, I suppose, that you really get that insight. But again, if you're sat in the ground, I've not watched live rugby, but I don't know whether you get that same conversation through the PA system or not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you do.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you do. So replays on the big screen, and you get that conversation and thought process through. And there's a lot more explanation to decisions within that, and I think for spectators it gives you a bit more insight and understanding, but probably gives you a bit more agreement, I guess, and ability to say, actually, do you know what, I can see why you've done that, and
yeah,
that's probably the right thing to do, whereas sometimes there's a few more grey areas perhaps in cricket, and it's left open to interpretation a little bit because there isn't that communication perhaps.
Big appeal for LBW this time. Everyone's up. I don't know whether Tom Lamby might have got a little bit of bat on it or whether he's got himself outside the line again, but umpire's not interested. Northants are desperate, aren't they, for another couple of wickets here.
Felt like two noises.
Yeah, not sure. Hard to tell, but umpire wasn't interested anyway. Nigel Long tends to give you a little bit of an indication whether it's kind of got himself out the line or sliding down, and Ian Blackwell doesn't give you any kind of indication whatsoever as to...
He was unmoved.
He was. That's a cracking shot from Tom Lammerby, that, isn't it? Bit of pressure building during that over of Ben Sanderson. 4 dot balls with that big LBW appeal, and he's just pumped him down the ground for a couple of bounces. 4 more, 20 to win now for Somerset, 34 for 1. But yeah, going back to the umpires being mic'd up, I appreciate going off the bad light with 8 overs left to go in day 2 against Somerset. Wantage Road probably isn't the biggest flashpoint of the years that might have been useful, but that moment with Mitch Stark in the Ashes at Lords, obviously the Alex Carey, it pains me to call it a stumping, but the run out of Johnny Bairstow. But yeah, just to provide that extra little layer, I think it would be really helpful. Great comeback from Ben Sanderson. So 4 runs off the over, 9 gone, 5 overs, 1 for 20 for Northants seamer. Jack White removes the jumper. He's going to continue from the Lynn Wilson centre end. Stream powered by Daffabet here at Wantage Road. If you would like to get in contact with us in the next 20 runs, you can do on Twitter, Northants CCC, or email stream@nccc.co.uk. Thanks everybody who's got in contact with us throughout the course of the game so far. Jack White to Tom Abel. Big drive, beats the dive of, I think that's Tom Taylor at cover. Chase on for James Sales. It's going to be 4 runs to the score, so that's 16 now to win, and a commanding shot from Tom Abel, that.
Yeah, you mentioned the first innings, he was arguably the best looking batsman of the Somerset first innings, and he's certainly pleasing on the eye, isn't he?
Yeah, he looked superb. Nicely played again. Back-to-back boundaries from Tom Abel. Just whipped that one through mid-wicket this time. So I think the first innings he had a delivery that he certainly intimated that kept a little bit low on him. But before that, it was... You know when a batter's there and the defence is that solid, the ball is dropping straight off the face of the bat, right at their own feet, and it's not moving an inch after that. It's that kind of confidence that Tom Abel had with the bat in the first innings. Whether he's just seen enough here to try and get this game done. Well batted and well run. Tom Lammerby calling him through. 1 more added to the score. 43 for 1 and 11 to win now for Somerset. So you wouldn't say it's quite as gloomy as what it was last night, but it's hardly been bright here at Northampton, has it, this morning? It's been fairly blanketed across the sky with that layer of cloud. Yeah,
they keep rolling in, don't they? We had 10 minutes of sun, I think, didn't we, right at the start of the day, but yeah, since then it's pretty gloomy.
Yeah, down the leg side, that one from Jack White. And Somerset opener disappointed with himself that he's not got a bit of bat on that. Thought that was a bit of a freebie for him. Could have got that total down into single figures. Three slips, still wait. Turned into the leg side. Somerset look for 2. They're going to come back. Lammonby quick between the wickets. And that total now is 45. 9 required for Somerset to win this game. It's Northamptonshire. Down the ground, over Rob Keogh. It's going to give chase. He stands a chance of hauling this one back, and he does indeed. So, going to be 3 more added to the score. Tom Lammonby didn't get enough of it. 10 minutes to go then before what would be a traditional lunch break, and the call of "it's raining" from the Jackson Grundy stand now. Ground staff haven't moved a muscle.
Good commitment from Rob Keogh there. Probably could have been forgiven with 9 to win for not giving his 115%, but no, very good.
Absolutely. You never know, do you? Sanderson then to continue. He's got 4 slips. Tom Taylor's in at 4th, having watched that one go through that vacant area off the bat of Tom Lammonby the over before. Tries to give himself a little bit of room. 6 to win. I wonder, I might be completely wrong, but I wonder, with the way that the Somerset batters approach that last over from Jack White, obviously there's 9 minutes to go now before lunch and still 6 to win. It kind of felt like a little bit of a mindset of maybe that half an hour isn't available for them today.
Yeah, it almost felt like we're going to be having lunch, and
it is raining though, Dan. And I can see it out the window, which means
it is raining. Yeah. Ground staff still haven't moved.
No, that's powerfully struck.
That's probably why.
Down the ground. So that's 4 for Lammonby, so 2 to win. Maybe that's why that over from Jack White went around the ground slightly. It's pretty heavy out there, though. Sure, the umpires will stay out there.
Yeah, if it was 250 to win, do you think we'd be going off, Dan?
Do you know what? When it is heavy, you can genuinely see it out the window here in the commentary box. Sometimes you're a little bit blind to it if it's that kind of P2K fine rain, you know. But the fact that you can visibly see it out the window suggests that it's coming down fairly well. Dot ball. So Lammonby and Somerset know that there's a chance that they don't want to be going off and sitting up in that dressing room for a little bit of a rain delay. So if you look out towards our left and get the benefit of the scoreboard, you can see it's coming down fairly heavy. And that is it. 4 for Tom Lammonby. He greets Tom Abel in the middle of the pitch. And Somerset have won this game, won the county championship fixture between Northamptonshire and Somerset at Wantage Road. They've won by 9 wickets, having chased 54 to win in the 4th innings. So congratulations to Somerset. Fantastic performance by the county. Matt Henry, the standout for them, with 8 wickets in the match, and backed up brilliantly well by his seam bowling counterparts. Craig Overton with a good performance. Vasconcelos with the bat in the 1st innings for Northamptonshire shone with a quite fluent 78, and then a captain's innings of Luke Proctor in the 2nd innings of 87 not out, marshalling the tail to get Northamptonshire to 224 and making sure that Somerset had to bat again here at Wantage Road. Thank you very much for your company, Dan, on day 1 and day 3.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, mate.
It's been a pleasure to call the game. Stream powered by Daffabet here at Northamptonshire County Cricket Club, and as I say again, congratulations to Somerset on the victory here in Northampton. Next time out Lancashire, or Northamptonshire up at Lancashire. That's Tuesday the 25th of July in the next championship game. And the next game at home here for Northamptonshire is against Sussex in the One Day Cup on the 6th of August, starting at 11 o'clock in the morning. So good luck to Northamptonshire up at Lancashire for the next championship game, and we'll see you again on the live stream on the 6th of August against Sussex.